Hello and welcome to this episode of Hampton Roads Business Live. My name is Rory Graham and I'm your host. And today we have the pleasure of having with us Patti Howell from the Hitching Post and Hickory Trading Company. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Well, thanks for having me.
You're in Hampton Roads.
I am.
Brand new. Your companies are brand new.
Yes.
And two of them. Okay. So let's just start with an overview of each. All right?
Okay. Well, we just opened Hickory Trading Company 9 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And Hickory Trading Company is primarily an artisan gift shop. So we feature some of the area's finest and most talented artists, as well as small business entrepreneurs. We have photographers, painters, jewelers, furniture makers, woodworkers. Wow. We have a full line of bath and body products, as well as all natural skincare products. We even feature a small coffee shop in the store, and we offer handcrafted teas and custom roasted beans. So you can grab a cup of coffee or a latte while you're shopping.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Then we also opened
company number two.
Company number two is our nonprofit, and that's the Hitching Post Educational Center. And that's the real heart of the project. The Hitching Post Educational Center offers services to children, teens, and young adults with special needs.
Mm-hmm.
We work a lot with children with autism, but we work with all special needs and all ages. We offer social skills and tutoring. We also do life skills and pre-employment. And the really cool thing about opening both businesses together is that we have the opportunity to offer job coaching to our older students through our retail company, the Hickory Trading Company.
And it's kind of obvious that would be an advantage. Why do you say that's such a great advantage?
Oh, in most cases, when a special needs employee starts a new job, they're thrust into a retail environment. Mm-hmm. And they do receive support from a job coach, but it's on a limited basis. And so often there'll be days in between, and it just makes it more challenging.
Right.
But
this way they get more support.
They get full-time support from specially trained staff in the Hickory Trading Company.
I know, being in business myself and meeting hundreds and hundreds of business owners, it's very tough to be in business. Most businesses don't survive. And you opened two of them.
Yes.
What made you take that on?
Ah.
Must have been a real calling.
Well, it was just that, I think. It began, I'm a teacher, and business is a foreign world to me. Mm-hmm. But, began working, I've been in education for 26 years, and I've taught regular education, I've taught the deaf and hard of hearing, I've been a Christian school administrator, but my real love came when I started working with children who had autism about 7 years ago.
That's really challenging. Autism.
Boy, it was, yes, and quite honestly, it was very challenging when I first started. Everything I knew about children and education, you could just throw right out the window because absolutely nothing I did worked. I remember truly going home and crying every night thinking, this job is impossible. So it took a couple of years, and I noticed that it was probably about the end of the second year, after I did a lot of research, took a lot of classes, and I reached out to every professional and therapist that was working with our students. I just tried to absorb any bit of information I could get. And probably by the end of the second year, that's when I kind of looked up one day and thought, you know what? When I come into my classroom each morning, I'm not met with anxiety now, but just excitement. The children were never the problem. It was me, and I had to. There was a lot
learn how to cope with them, how to deal with them, and how to reach them.
Yes, and how to connect with them, and I found that they are some of the most intelligent, loving, creative kids, and I've just been so fortunate to be able to work with them.
And so, how did you go from crying every night to opening up a special needs center? I mean, that's...
Oh, yes. Well...
That's a huge jump.
It was a huge jump. As I was working with these students, and of course, some of my students I had for several years in a row, so I became very close to their families, and as much as the public school has to offer them, I was still seeing that there were some gaps that needed to be filled. So I found that I was doing tutoring after school. I was doing in-home behavior therapy as a registered behavior technician. I began organizing social groups and outings so that my students could take the social skills that they were learning and implement them into the real world. And, about that same time, my husband, he had built a tree house in our backyard. And it's a great tree house. My husband's a wonderful builder. It has a wraparound deck, Anderson windows, heating and air conditioning, and a suspension bridge. This is, yes,
maybe I can get him to come to my house.
There you go. But I found that it made a really great classroom. So I started doing tutoring and things in the treehouse after school. So even my really reluctant learners, they were excited to come to class and have school in the trees. So as I was I was trying to fill these different gaps, I started to have, this idea that it would be really great to offer families and students all of these services in one comprehensive
That's a great idea.
center.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
There's a lot of need for that, more than most people would think.
There is.
I know someone who has an autistic child, and that's why I know just a little bit about it,
Yeah.
but I didn't realize the need was as great as it is. But you know how it is when you know someone, all of a sudden you start hearing about all kinds of things
Right, absolutely.
related. So, all right, so that kind of explains, I guess, how the Education Center came about, right?
Right.
Okay. All right, so then how did the trading company come about?
Well, as you can imagine, teaching full-time, doing tutoring, social skills, in-home behavior therapy, my schedule was pretty busy, and it was a little stressful at times. And so it really all started with some hammering, taking out some frustration on some leftover copper scraps that we had left over from a roofing project. I had dabbled in beading and jewelry just as a hobby, just playing around with it. But I saw something different in the copper, and I found that working with the copper after school, after a long hard day, being able to really hammer and pound, and that was therapeutic.
Beats banging your head on the wall.
It felt so good, and I was able to start creating pendants and cuffs and earrings and bracelets and garden art. And before long, some of the pieces that I was making, I started to show at craft shows. And then from craft shows, I went to several shops in the area. I had booths in their shops. So the next logical step would be a brick and mortar. But I didn't want to do a brick and mortar just for my product, because I know how hard it is to market your things part-time. And so I wanted to offer a place that allowed other artists in the area to showcase their work and their talents and have a place to sell their items.
Well, that's good. I'm sure they appreciate that.
I worked with some amazing artists.
All right, so with no business background,
Yeah.
you opened 2 businesses, and how did you pull that off? I mean, you told me before the interview you didn't have any business background at all.
Not a bit. I am a teacher at heart, and like I said, business it's just a foreign world to me. But about 2 weeks after I turned my resignation in to the public school system, which is very difficult to do.
That's commitment.
Yeah, right.
That's one word for it.
It was. That's one word.
That's one word.
There probably are a few others.
Yeah, there are.
But I met this gentleman. He was a business coach for Startup Smart, Rand Walker, truly a godsend. I think I probably overwhelmed him when I first met with him, as I take my big binder of very amateur style business plans and internet downloaded documents and products of all the Google searches I could do. And I set them on the desk and I explained what I had in mind. And all I can say is he must have had pity on me, because not only did he agree to work with me, but he volunteered his hours, his time, served as my mentor and my coach every step of the way. And, the help didn't just stop there. At every turn, there were people who just stepped up to help meet a need. I had former school families who jumped in. I had so many perfect strangers who I'd never met before show up at the door and, hey, I heard you need some help. We had people who painted, who cleaned, who did wiring and plumbing, who organized grand opening events. It was truly amazing. And this is really a story about a community coming together for something really great, a really great cause.
Kind of makes you believe in miracles, huh?
It does, because what we were facing, I think, once we found our building, and it was so difficult to find a building. Either people didn't want to have children in their building, a variety of reasons, but once we found our building, we had about 3.5 weeks to totally remake the inside of the center. So it did look impossible, but yeah.
And you pulled it off. So, okay, so I'm sure you'd like to tell us how people can get involved.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, in order to receive more information on if families that might need tutoring or social skills or special education advocacy, any of those services, they can go to the hitchingpost.org, or if you're interested in our store location or directions there, you can go to hickorytrading.com. And you can also, if you're an artist and would like to find out more about becoming a vendor, we do have our application online.
Okay, all right. And can people donate?
Oh, they certainly can.
Okay.
Every donation is certainly appreciated. So if you would like to help us, help these amazing kids, you can go to generosity.com, and there you'll see the Hitching Post Educational Center.
Okay, great. All right, so if you'd like to help, or maybe just want to take a look at the jewelry and get a cup of coffee, I'm sure that you can find more information at the links that are at the end of this video, and they're also at the bottom of this page. You can give Patti a call. I'm sure she can help you with whatever questions that you might have for a worthwhile program. And I wish you a lot of success. You did an amazing job to get all this up and running in such a short period of time, and we hope you were very successful in the area.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.